Yeah.
Okay, almost back. We're almost back. Yay.
No, you don't want it? Why not?
You don't
My
like it?
stomach isn't agreeing with it.
Okay. Oh, we're back. Welcome back to Slave Nation on the Beaten Path. And now we're going to bring you a semi-wild show.
Semi-wild.
Well, we're just
We could be as wild as you want us to be.
nice. Okay, so the
We get
first
downright primal.
oh, it's going to get jiggy.
Well, I am a dragon primal. What do you want?
Well, explain this dragon primal. Now that you have a big mouthful of food. I'm practicing to be a waitress.
Sorry.
Have you ever noticed, like, you're in a restaurant and right when you have that mouthful of food, the waitress will come by and go, "How's everything going?" You're like,
No, I just identify as a dragon, so I consider myself a dragon primal.
I don't understand.
Kind of like any other primal. There's cat primals, there's wolf primals, there's what other kind of primal?
I don't understand
There's
this
really-
primal
I've heard-
thing.
Well, okay, so from my understanding of
Okay, we should talk
people
about
being primals, it's just like when you get in there, you're no longer thinking like a person. You're thinking like this animal, an animalistic way of I want to, in this case, breed with this person. Dragon tends to be very
hot, flaming,
notchy, bitey,
Why, thank you.
and on top.
and then like where I'm just a cat, which basically just means I'm happy and purry no matter what's going on. And then like people who are wolf, dog, whatever, tend to just act as the animal in a sense that they would in the time that they would be in heat.
So basically during sex, I growl a lot.
Nice.
And I
I'm
wish I could breathe fire, but
I more often than not just end up meowing throughout the house.
she does too, literally.
Constant meowing.
Well, she brings me as soon as breakfast is ready. She goes meow, and it's like it's the breakfast call.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I get it kind of now. Maybe. I don't know.
Don't mind her. She's got 2 cats in her lap.
I'm talking to the cats in their own language. It's all right. I'm not just crazy.
They can show them the cat.
They're sleeping.
Oh. Well, we're really lucky we're getting rid of 2 cats, so I'm really thrilled about that.
Aw, we're really happy to get 2 cats.
I know. Anyway, maybe we should have a cat giveaway on Slave Nation. We'll mail you one or 2.
No.
Okay, so one of the things is topic, okay, and I didn't read into it because for those of you who don't know, I don't watch the news and I don't generally read the news, but occasionally every now and then I get news raped, and that's when you get news against your will. It's a thing.
Is that like a consent non-consent?
It is not a consent non-consent thing because I do not consent to this at all, but you're raped with it anyway, and it is a thing. I submitted the word news rape to Urban Dictionary. They agreed with me. It's accepted. News rape is a thing. So pretty soon we're going to get it put into law.
Wow.
But
Though I mean that's a hardly even persecuted as it is.
yeah. So what happens is like there's a whole bunch of stuff going on that I didn't know about, which I'm okay with that. And I went to but you can't even go to the Weather Channel on the internet anymore without being news raped. They put the news there, so it's really traumatized. You have to be very careful. Just click on your weather thing and get your daily report and everything. Otherwise, you're going to get news raped and know what's going on in the world. But and also, like you go to do a search on Yahoo or Google, whatever you use. I use Yahoo because I really like it. But you do the search on there and you get news raped. So I went to search something. I was probably searching something really fun like ribbons or bows or ruffles or something like that. And I found out that there's this new law in effect going on. And did you know you can't have straws anymore in California? I just found this out.
Frogs?
Straws.
You can't have specifically, I think it's like petroleum-based straws because they're trying to reduce the trash because they are honestly terrible. The amount of plastic straws that are in the oceans, it's terrible and sad. Like what
Okay,
you'll
okay,
what-
but it's I mean, of all the things, it's just a straw. I mean, we have so much crime and everything going on. A straw, you know.
well, it's more just to encourage businesses to not hand them out.
Yeah,
anymore.
I was news raped with that one too, and I was like, oh my gosh.
What you'll probably find in this is I like news. I like finding out new things. I probably am a news rapist.
No, you're just never mind.
Are you sure you don't want to finish that?
Well, so-
remove the news from the front of that and direct it towards me.
but he still roars, right?
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, when I was going on the news, I found out I was raped with this stuff, and there's this new law in California about you can't if you're a publicly traded company, you must have a woman on the board, which I just find outrageous. You know, first of all, it has to be unconstitutional because the government's not supposed to get in how you run your business, but they've been doing that for years. But this is just crazy. Second of all, okay, I'm kind of backwards. Everyone knows I'm not a feminist. I think women should stay home. You know, they should take care of the families, take care of the houses, do women's stuff, whatever. Okay, but here's the thing with feminism. Okay, it was set up basically because men weren't doing their jobs and they were not taking care of women the way they should take care of women, and women were getting, you know, they had no ways to financially take care of themselves because the men could come
No,
and
that
pay
is
for stuff.
that's not how feminism started.
It was more
Started with World War II.
Oh, it
and
was long before then.
Well, no, not really.
the movement itself started around then. Like when people started actually getting into it, because that was when the
Men
We
were
can
all
do
off
it.
to war.
"We Can Do It" sticker came out, because then all the women had to do the jobs, and then they were like, "Wait, we can do this too. Why are we sitting at home and doing these things that we potentially don't like doing?"
But you had the suffragettes that came long before that, like the 1800s and stuff, because like they would get their inheritance from their families and their husbands would take it away from them,
Yeah.
and then they wouldn't take care of their women properly. So basically it's, but anyway,
It's been evolving for
yeah,
years. and
but
years and
but the
years.
thing is they've taken it too far, and where now it's like they just want to push and push and push and not let women really do what they, not give them the choices that they were supposed to have to begin with.
See, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
I don't call that or consider that even slightly to be feminism at
Mhm.
all. That falls into the category of, even a term I don't like to use, of feminazi, in the term of we are trying to dictate what women should be doing.
Mhm.
Women should be bringing in whatever the fuck they want. But the reality of it is, in my version of feminism, how I was raised, how I was taught, how my grandmother taught me, my mom, my sister, etc., is that you should have the right to choose to do whatever you want to do. If you want to be a stay-at-home mom, absolutely fine, great, awesome. If you want to go be a CEO at a company, fantastic, go do it. You want to run your own business, etc., etc. You can do whatever you want. The real thing is, it needed to be accessible first. That was the main thing, and I think that's where the intent on that new law is to open up, because most businesses, especially CEO level, are completely and utterly run by the white male.
Okay, but here's the thing, it's insulting. As a woman, okay, and even though I don't want that job, I'm perfectly happy to be a woman and do all the traditional things. It is insulting. It is flat out insulting, because if I'm smart enough, I will get it. I will get there. I don't need them telling a company, put a woman on the board.
That's not necessarily true. There's a lot more showing that even if women work as hard or even harder, they won't get as far. Not even slightly. Women have to work almost 200% harder to get the same place that a guy has to. And that's almost simply because men mediate with men easier and better. It's just how people are.
I'm not buying it, because I know with affirmative action, okay, I'm going to give you an example. With affirmative action and all that nonsense, they overlook the best person and they take mediocrity because they need to fill that void. And here's an example: was my old master took the sergeant's exam at his work, and he passed it with flying colors because he was really, really smart and all that other stuff. But he got passed over for some woman who was a lesbian and Mexican. She had like all the qualifications of affirmative action, and she got the job, but she was not qualified for it. And then she kept coming and asking him, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I said, don't tell her, let her do it. She got the job.
I mean,
I have that same opinion, kind of. Like right now where I work, and I'm not going to say where it is, what it is, however, but we have a gentleman that got pushed into a position that he was not qualified to do. And everybody else in the team was helping him out to make sure he succeeded. I walked in the door and I said, and I've only been at the job for a few weeks. And I walked in the door. I said, no, stop. Let this person fail on their own. When they fail, they get fired and you get somebody more qualified. So in the business world, I say this: if everybody just needs to stop helping the underachievers and let them fail on their own. They're either going to make it or they're not. Stop covering for them. And when they fail, they get tossed out on the street and they go back to doing what they can do while you get somebody in who knows what the fuck they're doing.
Well, and it's not fair that they're getting that raise increase and you're doing their job for them.
Right.
Well, that just comes down to a factor of people who are qualified should be hired, not based on gender, race, religion, anything other than qualification, which doesn't even have anything to do with the actual feminist argument. Because that's really just based on you need to qualify
which is what it's like in the rest of the world. It's only the United States that does this stupid shit. I mean, granted, go in the Middle East and you got that's a totally different problem. But you go to Britain, you go to all the rest of the English-speaking countries, and people are hired based on their qualifications, not their gender, race, religion, not their, It's the United States that says that we got to regulate everybody because one person opened their mouth and said, I don't agree with this. Well, that's an over-exaggeration, but
I honestly think it's just more of a thing of we as a country have issues in the sense of we are rootly racist. We have rootly Christian values that even people who aren't Christians sort of hold just based on we're in America and you're raised in a certain way with certain general ideas. And then also just the fact of how our feminist movement has gone and the fact that it is now also happening in tandem with the rise of the internet, which is a really bad thing for any movement. The internet is a terrible thing for any movement. It ruins everything because then the internet, doing what it does best, is it digs deep, finds the trash, and puts them on blast. Because that's why you end up seeing more stories about these crazy feminists who are doing crazy things like throwing bloody tampons at people.
Oh gosh, I didn't know. Oh my gosh, she's news raping me. Stop it.
That's from years ago.
I didn't know about that.
Oh, that's the thing that crazy people just do in general.
I mean, let's come down to this. There was, just after Trump was elected, they had the rally downtown Portland. It was kind of a feminist anti-Trump rally downtown. And there was a picture that came up of two women wearing costumes of pussies. Big, giant pussies.
Were they hairy?
But everybody was going, yay for them, and it's so right that they could do that. If I'd walked downtown wearing a dick suit, I would have been in prison.
Would it have been hairy?
No, it probably would have been laughed up and memes in the same way. I have seen people walking around in dick costumes. They're sold for Halloween.
Are they really?
Yes, there are dick costumes that are blow up and come with air machines.
Oh, good grief. The things you find out.
Yeah, well, it's just, that was just one of those little things that pissed me off was, if I had shown up at that rally with a dick suit on, I would have gone to prison for it.
I mean, in all honesty, I just want the general insult, the fact that everybody is insulted by the image of a vagina to go away, because we see dicks drawn everywhere constantly. So unless that stops, I feel like we should stop feeling insulted by different parts of the human body that everybody has and or knows about. But that's just
I haven't
because
noticed that.
you didn't grow up in high school seeing dicks drawn on lockers or in bathrooms,
I did not.
graffiti on the walls. I
Oh yeah, I
constantly
saw
see-
graffiti, but it was
Yeah.
totally like gang related.
Well, still, people find it constantly fun to draw dicks everywhere.
I'm
The
not seeing any.
A penis is inherently funny, where a vagina or anything along that is gross and dirty, and you shouldn't talk about that in the same sense of, breasts being out. But
I haven't found that. I've maybe I just know more men and they really dig the vagina and boobs.
I have never met a guy who has willingly drawn a vagina. Never in my life.
Well,
I have.
Yeah, but
I drew a vagina when I was a young teen and made sure I jerked off to it a few times.
oh my god. Really, you couldn't just get a magazine?
Who said I didn't trace?
Oh, God. Okay.
Trace out a few vaginas out of that funny magazine, and before my dad finds out I have it, and put it back where it belongs.
Oh, nice. Oh my god.
No, I'm kidding. But maybe I'm a male chauvinist pig like everybody else, like people tend to think. But
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
That's a good thing.
No,
I
I
love
think
it.
that's awful. If he was that, I would break up with him. Sorry to say. What I really believe is you don't expect every single woman to bow before you. You expect
don't.
the one person, me, who is willing to do so. You don't expect everyone to act as I do. Only me because I want to. I want to. That's the big thing.
yeah,
We,
exactly.
as submissives, want to do what we're doing. We want to be in this place. We're happy in this place. Where normally, if a normal person were treating, we're just treating their girlfriend as they would to us without it being under the understanding and consent of BDSM, it would be an abusive relationship. Hands down, done. Go get me a beer.
Yeah, go give me a beer, will you?
I don't see that because I don't see that as abuse if they're in a relationship, even though it's not defined as a DSMS relationship, because the woman can always walk away and the man can always walk away.
Well, no, I'm talking because also walking out of an abusive relationship is not easy. It is not as easy as people say, oh, you can just leave, you can no, they will either lie, people will believe them more, or they will follow you and abuse you and or kill you, because that is very likely of happening.
But I'm looking at an abusive
That's
relationship.
that's the extremes.
Well, no, yeah, and I'm continuing to say, because I'm including in that in the sense of if you fail at a task, you get punished, like agreed spankings, etc., things like that. If a normal guy was just doing that to his girlfriend, literally just beating her when she didn't do something he wanted, right, which is how chauvinist pigs act, of I'm higher, mightier than thou, and you can't do fucking anything to.
You didn't make my breakfast right this morning. Whack.
Okay, but
That's abuse.
okay,
That's abuse.
that's
are we
what I
talking
mean.
a beating or a simple spanking? Because if you look back, okay, so
If I had a partner that
Mhm.
wasn't in a BDSM relationship that hit me in any way, I would either punch him in the face, cut off his balls, or simply turn him into the police.
Damn. Boy, am I glad
She's
we're
hard-
beating
it's
him up
hard-
there.
hard-
Yes,
Hard.
it's really nice when you ask for consent, isn't it?
It is, isn't
Like-
it?
but I'm looking at it too. If you look back and you go back to 50s, had a household, you take it back. Even if you look at like I Love Lucy, there were instances, and I never viewed. I mean, in the early shows, do you even know I Love Lucy?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm just asking because you're kind of.
Yeah,
I
he
think I
hit her a couple of times on
He
the show.
spanked her, but it wasn't.
But at the same time, Lucy did not act in the same way that a conventional household wife would. She was very more out there in comparison because it was a sitcom.
Well, yes, but it was still. I mean, and there was. I think there might have even been spankings on the honeymooners, wasn't there?
Because when I think of that,
Well, what was the woman's name? I forgot on the
Alice.
Alice. One of these days, Alice,
Boom!
pow, straight to
Zoom!
the moon.
Yeah. But when I think of that, then I also remember the immediate moment when women were able to like finally get divorces, because before that moment, I don't know if they were happening in tangents, but I think about that. Once women were able to get divorces, the divorce rate went excessively up because they were obviously in relationships stuck that they weren't happy in, because men were so happy to be above. They were the only one doing anything. They had all the power of the household. The woman couldn't do anything to get out. Now, of course, that's not how it is, but that's just my reference point of comparing that, because situations, times, and everything changes. Right now, everything is changing way more and way faster than it has ever done in our country's history.
Right, and that's the problem. They can't keep up with it.
Yeah. Like,
Everything's changing too fast.
it's the 2-week news cycle.
Yeah, well, it's actually a 24-hour news cycle, but
I think it's even less than that.
no, it's 24 hours. But the thing is that all these movements, all these things that are going on in the United States right now, all the laws, basically everything that's going on in the United States is happening too fast, and society doesn't have a chance to adapt to it. You know, society isn't meant to, a society of 500 million people in the United States is not meant to adapt to these changes overnight, which is what some people are wanting to happen. It doesn't work that way. The humans as a group are stupid. Individuals are smart, but
Mob mentality.
quoting from Men in Black, people are stupid. And you cannot change it. It would literally be like finding out that our government has been harboring aliens for the past 50 years. Overnight, the United States would change. You know, people, and the thing is, we would have 400 million people rioting overnight. 100 million will accept it. Hey, yeah, we've been conspiracy theorists for however long, but that 3/4 of the United States would go nuts overnight. Society is not meant to accept change this fast. It's like evolution. You know, eventually we're going to lose our pinkies because we don't use them often
Pinky toe.
enough.
Pinky toe, not pinkies.
Oh, pinky toes, whatever.
Okay, I don't buy that. We need them because how our sandals won't look nice.
Whatever. But 20, 30,000 years from now, we're not going to have our pinky toes because we don't use them.
That is silly. I mean, how will you keep your shoes on properly?
Originally, they're there for balance, actually, your pinky toe, but now that we have more of a straight posture and or worsening posture, they're no longer becoming more needed because our balance is more on our heels.
It's kind of like your appendix. 100,000 years ago, we needed our appendix because we ate grass. Now we don't need it, and it's disappearing.
Is that really what the appendix was for? Grass eating?
Yeah.
Huh?
Heavy digestion.
Heavy digestion.
Roughage.
Heavy fiber digestion, and since we don't use it anymore, it's fading away genetically.
Well,
Society is the same way. They're forcing too much change too fast on society, and it's going to kill us.
it's creating a complete outrage culture that's just constantly going around because everybody is getting to this point of, well, there's no movement to follow. I've been saying for years that we no longer know how to organize in any way that will create any sort of change. I'm sad about it. But we're getting into this outrage culture of everybody is picking the things that they want to be mad about versus focusing and trying to come up with a single focused solution that will be implemented.
Yeah.
You know what the solution is? Listen to Slave Nation. We will tell you what you need to know.
The feminist movement, I totally get the feminist movement. I do. It's not a bad thing for women to be in the workplace. It's not a bad thing for women to want equal rights in society. It is not a bad thing. Don't force it. Don't force that choice on every woman.
Because again,
'Cause-
not feminism.
Not feminism.
Not feminism. As soon as you are forcing a choice on somebody else, you are exactly as bad as the people you are trying to fight against.
Well, see, and
Just
that
like religion, freedom of religion. In the United States, religion cannot be forced upon you. That's in the Constitution or in the Bill of Rights or somewhere in there. I forget. I haven't read the damn thing in 20 years. But religion cannot be forced. We have a freedom of religion law. You cannot, as a Christian or as a Catholic or as an atheist or as
Muslim,
a agnostic or Muslim or or a Jew,
Hinduist.
Hinduist.
Buddhist.
Okay, I'm going to stop listing them now.
okay.
Cannot force your religion on me, and that is law.
You better pray I don't.
Though I mean, at the same
I
time,
don't.
we
I
still
honestly
have
don't know
Mormons
how the
coming to our
Jehovah
doors.
Witnesses get away with going around knocking on
And
doors.
then
Well,
Christian
because they're
people
not,
handing
they're
out
not
Bibles.
forcing on it. They're not forcing it. They're offering you. Would you like our pamphlets? Would you like a lesson? Would you like to hear what I have to say? They're not saying you will listen to me. You
no,
will.
but they are saying if you don't listen to me, you're going to go to hell.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
that's not nice.
Yeah, that's why we don't like religion.
I'm stepping out of this conversation now before I lose my.
Well, let's go to a
Before I
break.
really start on a rant.
Let's go to a break, and then we'll come back with something a little more pleasant, like pedicures and how we will keep the pinky toe.
Jesus Christ.
And we'll be back in a few moments, and here's some more music. Oh, I love these songs. We're gonna have like a bad girl should and beat my guest, but I'm not gonna beat them during our break. And we'll be right back.
I know you just want to curl up right at me. They didn't want to leave me alone.
The other two
Do it.
Do it.
Just do it. Okay, so we're gonna go on to more pleasant topics.
Oh, are we? We're going to get off the political mainstream here now.
I don't know if it's pleasant though.
It's always pleasant. Aren't you having a good time?
We always have a good time when we come down here.
Yay! Yeah, we have cats and everything.
So what are we going to yak about this time?
We are going to talk about. Well, do you ever listen to those TED Talks?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I was listening to the TED Talk, and it was on love and how it's an addiction, and it triggers this. And when you break up, you're going through the withdrawal and all this. And so I think it transfers over to BDSM.
Oh, addiction to BDSM or pain, or honestly, it even comes down to if we're talking about like the actual pain type of side, that just comes down to an addiction to adrenaline, even.
Yeah.
That's just like adrenaline junkies that jump out of planes without parachutes.
Yeah.
No,
They
just,
toss the parachute out first, and they go try and catch it.
or base jumpers.
Or base jumpers, or it's an adrenaline junkie.
Level
Really?
4 rock climbers who don't do any belaying or anything like that.
What is delaying?
It's the rope stuff. The people who like. Have you ever done rock climbing? Have you ever seen rock climbing? I should
I've
ask.
seen rock climbing.
Have you seen all the ropes? The person at the bottom like
Yes.
changing things. It's just that. That's belaying. That is the technical term for that is belay.
Oh, okay. We saw that brought up, and Swirls and I saw that brought up the other day, belaying, and we're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "I don't know. Who cares?" Since we didn't bother to look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just when they're using ropes and stuff
Yeah.
to climb. The level 4s don't use ropes. They're
Yeah.
free climbers, and
They just
They're-
have chalk on their hands and a
they're
chalk marker.
fucking nuts.
My dad was one. That's why I know so much.
You miss one handhold, and you're a dead person.
And that's also part of what base jumpers do too. Is they sometimes people who do the free form rock climbing, they just have a parachute. So if they fall, they're just opening it up. If they're not high enough, oh well.
Yeah, but back to the initial topic of
Yeah.
BDSM is yes, the S&M side of it
Yeah.
is an adrenaline junkie thing.
Well, I
Yeah.
think even the relationship side of it as well.
Well, I think that also just comes down to not so much of an addiction, but a emotional dependence, which you can be overly emotionally dependent on somebody, like completely and utterly you are relying on this person for your happiness. You don't have anything else in your life. That can cause a absolute bottom out in your life if that suddenly ends. If you suddenly don't have that, it's like you suddenly lost your dealer. If you're a heroin junkie, he suddenly got arrested, and you now have nothing, and you're done.
But that's just love in general. I mean, you could apply that to vanilla.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, with BD and S&M, you're adding another level of it when it comes to at least to the S&M side of it, sadomasochism side of it. You're addicted to the pain, or you're addicted to causing pain, or it's an adrenaline rush to beat somebody with a whip or a paddle or whatever,
and
and
then
it's
even going to more extremes of even just heavier like tools to getting into things that are more like blood knife, whatever causes the next thing, because you can always hit a limit on if something affects you.
needles and knife play. That's
Hooks.
and hook.
Yeah.
The people that get hooks in their backs and get suspended by those hooks. That's complete adrenaline junkies. You know, that's what they're after, is that rush. We call it subspace for a lot of things, just because the community likes to label stuff.
Yeah.
Labels
Yeah.
are lovely.
You know, subspace is you are going into that happy place. And
You are suddenly getting that high come into you because you have all of these chemicals rushing, the serotonin, the adrenaline, dopamine.
Dopamine.
That one, I'm like, not that.
Yeah, well, in the talks they talked about the dopamine
Yeah.
and the love triggering that, because they did the brain.
Yeah, and how addiction works is just the fact of you start getting too much, and then the pathways in your brain can create more holes because the pathways have holes that are like a filter. You get this certain amount that flows this at this amount at a time, Then once you have more, the holes get more, but your body doesn't produce as much from the same thing. So it's just like suddenly it's not enough. You don't feel as happy from getting this. Like this applies to pretty much anything from, well, drugs to even just personal self-harm can even lead up to this kind of thing of it no longer is having the proper effect. So you have to go more further.
Come on, Tilly,
Deepen
say
it.
hi to your fans. Oh, say hi.
What I'm doing.
Go ahead.
Too much.
That's okay. We're liking it.
Am I giving my own TED Talk now on
Give it-
my various kind of information that I've learned? And I hope I remember properly. But no, it can be applied to pretty much anything. You can get addicted to pretty much anything, even if it doesn't necessarily have passive addictive qualities. Like heroin has passive addictive qualities. Like a really good argument for this, and I just bring this up as a general factor of people who use marijuana. There are people who can get addicted to it. The people who are just stoned out, smoking all the time, doing dabs, constantly can't do anything, can't get a job. They're addicted. They won't say it because weed isn't addictive. No, they have an addictive personality that has caused addiction to occur and like come forward, present itself. And like I know people, I'm not going to obviously name any names, who will casually use coke, aren't addicted to it, casually use it. And then there are the people who have that addictive personality that will cause them to do it. Same thing with gambling addiction. You have a addictive personality. That's really where it starts. Some people get easily addicted, some people don't. Of course, there are things like heroin where it automatically causes an addiction. Like that automatically burrows the extra holes in your brain so that everything sucks. And it's really hard to quit that stuff. Like phone addiction is a really common thing. Like
Yeah.
take 5 minutes and don't pick up your phone. See how often you want to reach for it. That's an addiction. The fact that you constantly want it and as soon as you get it, it feels good. You get that fix, quote unquote. It's an addiction.
I'm getting my fix right now.
No, my master constantly is on his phone. He needs his battle game and like his passive clicker game. Go through that life every now and then.
Well, see, okay. Now, I think in the master-slave relationship, and you said, you couldn't become dependent on that person, and you really do in an MS relationship become dependent.
Though at the same time, it's not necessarily complete dependence in the sense of unhealthy. Like you can absolutely have a healthy and then non-healthy dependence on a person. That's a general relationship. In BDSM, it is really important to maintain that good balance. Like
how do you suggest to maintain that good balance?
Well, it really falls down to the communication of like, if you are depending on somebody completely and 100%, that means that you have probably found a top master dom who gives you and tells you everything, absolutely everything.
The micromanager.
Yeah, everything. They don't ask for your opinion on something. They don't get your input on something. Like we've had this conversation before about somebody who just does everything. That person who is then either becomes happy or accustomed to that now can't leave because they are so in this thing, even if it is technically bad for them, because they now don't have their own thing that makes them happy, or they're not doing the things that used to make them happy because they're so focused on what makes their top happy.
See, but I think even with a micromanager, they still, most of them will ask for the opinion.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying is with the certain thing of being in an unhealthy kind of relationship, you're going to get that kind of thing of there's no opinion giving. Where in a healthy relationship, in a well-done BDSM relationship, you're going to have communications, everything's going to be agreed on. Like
consent.
Yeah, there's the consent line, of course. Of everybody has actually agreed to this, not just gone like, okay, that sounds okay. I'm okay with that, cool. Which I have had to fight with getting over.
Even Kitten and I are still working through some of those things. And we've been together for 10 months now. We're still working through little tiny consents, little tiny that we need. She wants this, I want that, things. And it's, boy, you're just a pill popper, aren't you?
Delicious.
But a good BDSM relationship will be continuously evolving.
Hmm.
It doesn't evolve over a day or a week or a month or a year. It evolves over a lifetime. And sometimes those lifetimes are cut short because for whatever reason, two people can't agree with each other. They can't come to an agreement or a
Mutual understanding.
I want this. Well, you can't have it. Well, then I don't want to be with you anymore. And then the ones that do work out are constantly evolving and
Like
they come to good concessions.
Like I was already talking to my master and saying the single human being is constantly changing, altering, adjusting their personality. Like psychologists say that you are changing your identity every 7 seconds, which may not be like you're a completely different person, but throughout the day, constantly you're either learning, gaining new information, something else is in the primary part of your brain. So you are acting as a different person. Like if you think, how am I different today than I was yesterday? You will probably have a couple things. Like they're going to be subtle, but it could easily just be like, oh, I know this new thing now. Or
you got news raped yesterday, and now my opinion has changed.
Yeah. But like that continues and has to transition over to being in a relationship too, because they're constantly changing. People are constantly changing. So of course a relationship will always be changing. Not in massive ways, but in a general sense, shifts will continue to happen.
And that's where you circle back to individuals do go through that change. Groups do not. Groups as a society, as 500 million people in the United States, we don't, as a group, we do not change that fast. We're not adaptive. Groups are not adaptive. Individuals are adaptive. Groups are not. And if you have a group of people and the entire group agrees except for one person, that group is not adaptive. So as going back into the political scope of things, we have all this shit coming down out of Washington right now. Got the Democrats going after the Republicans going after the Democrats. Nothing in there is getting done. And in the meantime, we're getting, this law or that law pushed on us that society is not ready for. And keep it short. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, you're starting to go on, and we're getting off.
I'm getting ranting. It comes down to groups are not adaptive. We don't change that fast, and the people in charge need to realize that.
Okay, the people in charge, and there you have it from the guy in charge. What do you have to say about that, Vicky?
Well, I just find it funny because we've completely switched what we're talking about again, and you've gone right back to that unpleasant conversation we were having.
It's stuck in my craw.
I know. That's why I'm monitoring.
I can get into rants about religion, politics, and a couple other topics, and I usually don't like to get into those rants.
Well, now we're bringing it back to BDSM.
Yeah.
Well, let me rant about that for a while. The whole thing about BDSM sucks. It should be outlawed. It's evil and deconstructive.
Bringing us back to the Dark Ages.
I like the Dark Ages. They had some cute clothes.
I like the Renaissance. No, I was actually really tempted to wear a corset with this because it looks really pretty, like the black corset that I have on top of this. But with having cats
I
on
want
me,
an Iron Maiden. You want to go back to the Dark Ages? I want an Iron Maiden.
Oh, those are nice. I wouldn't want to hang out in one, but they are nice.
Oh, that sounds just like fun. Put you in a closet with nails coming in on all sides, and you adjust them just slightly so that they're just poking you and you can't move. And if you move the wrong way, you kill yourself. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Well, in Canada.
Oh, the look I'm getting from the kitten right now.
They have a really good museum in Canada in Victoria Island, Vancouver Island, and Victoria, and they do have a whole torture
Mhm.
section, and it's really realistic and it's really excellent. So if you get to Victoria, Vancouver Island, go to the museum, and unless it's not there anymore, because I went way back in '95.
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind having a rack.
I love torture devices.
Oh, rack would be nice. I'd like to have a pillory,
Oh, that's
but not
those
for
are,
me.
Those are easy. Pillaries are easy to build.
Do you ever build any of your own equipment?
Toys, yeah.
What do you build?
Floggers, some whips.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm a DIY type
Mhm.
of
Guy?
sadist guy, yeah. So, but when it comes, the only reason why I don't build my own furniture equipment is because I just don't have the space for it. You know, I live in an apartment. Come on, I don't have the space to run a fucking skill saw. So yeah, I have an idea for this beautiful bed that I can use for suspension. Big canopy bed with using 4x4s, but I don't have any place where I can build it and then get it set up. It's it's on my project list right now for doing. Because the canopy bed that I have right now wouldn't hold a fly if I suspended a fly from it.
Yeah.
So I've got that in my to-do list. But yeah, I would build my own furniture, flogging tables and kneeling benches and saw horses and things like that. I would love to have a few of those.
Well, let's go back to your whip making. Now, what kind of materials do you use for your whips, and where do you get your?
Well, not so necessarily whips, but floggers.
Uh-huh.
I like rope cloth floggers a lot. It's kind of my thing. So I build those. You go out and get some poly nylon rope, half-inch poly nylon rope. And you loop it between two pegs that are like 2.5 feet, 3 feet apart. You just loop it back and forth around those pegs. Once you get enough loops, you wrap one end of those loops off into a handle, and then you cut the other loop, and now you have a flogger.
Oh, nice. Well, next time you come down, you should bring that, and we should do one on video.
I was thinking about bringing my flogger down, but yeah, we could do that. It won't make it past the YouTube snobs, but
No,
It'll be fun.
yeah, you can show toys as long as there's no nudity. Like otherwise, there wouldn't be any BDSM people on YouTube. Like the people I show you constantly.
Oh, the ropers this morning.
Yeah,
we
and
were
then
looking at.
the Evie shows paddles, floggers constantly.
In use.
Like not on a back, but like they do it on their arm really quick, show the redness.
Ah.
Yeah, you can't like actually flog somebody because that would just come down on, you're beating somebody. That is harm on another human being.
Yeah, and then the cops will be knocking on your door.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing.
As long as they bring the handcuffs. Oh, you come to join our party. How nice.
See, that goes back to our political rant earlier. Beatty or your feminist rant earlier. Beatty and
We got him going again.
No, I'm not going on to that
Okay.
one.
Are you sure?
Beatty, yes. Beatty and S&M is a personal choice between two consenting adults.
Mhm.
Okay. Just like being in the LGBT community, being gay, being lesbian, it's two consenting adults. Okay. Government has no right to say, hey, you can't flog that person. It's
Agreed.
illegal to flog that person. No, it's not. She's consenting to it, or he's consenting to it.
Technically, by all technicality, would count as an assault.
Yes.
Being as there's no roundabout, there's no consent of pain doesn't exist yet. There's no mediation for it. All there is person is hitting other person, that's an assault. That's just how it works, especially in the eyes of the law. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Versus in actuality, where everybody who is doing it is in the know, aware of what's happening, and nobody's getting taken advantage of.
Well, remember how back in one of our original shows, I was saying that master slave as a lifestyle, that's legal. S&M, sadist and masochist, everything a sadist and a masochist does together, consentingly, is completely illegal.
And you're sure on this?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Huh?
Everything you do as a sadist or a masochist is completely illegal, and the cops could come in and arrest you right in the middle of the scene.
Not the bottom, the top, which is
Yes, they could
The top,
arrest.
you're-
They could arrest the top instantaneously. As soon as you swing a flogger, as soon as you snap a whip, as soon as you strike with a cane, you are literally breaking the law.
and for the simple fact of like, oh, they're not in the house. If somebody can hear screaming from inside, it's probable cause to go in because there is a crime being committed. Thusly, you could be caught even if you're doing it in the sanctity of your own home.
Yep. So, for all of you sadists and masochists out there, make sure you're in soundproof drones.
Or really good at being quiet.
Yeah.
It's we're as a community, the B&D and S&M community, we are extremely lucky that the law has not come down on us like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people to come down on, though.
Not really.
So,
Not-
I mean,
not in the grand
wouldn't
scheme.
they, okay, but here's the thing, wouldn't they be like, okay, I'll equate it to speakeasies or whatever, but they know these parties are occurring. I mean, it's not a hidden secret. They know where they're happening. I mean, we're not very discreet on where it's going on.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things of you can technically hope that people who are working in law enforcement or work at hospitals or something would be understanding in the sense of if an emergency happens, you have to be comfortable with potentially calling an ambulance, calling the police if something really bad happens. Like you accidentally do a tie wrong and then there's nerve damage happening. If you take it off, it will make it worse. So you have to wait for the paramedics to get there and undo it properly. Or else the person could lose their hand. You have to be comfortable with bringing in the outside, or because you're doing something knowingly at risk.
Yes.
The whole risk-aware kink.
Well, there are kink-friendly professionals, and I believe
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a
yeah.
list of them.
Oh yeah.
I think I posted it before, but it may be gone because I was using this one website, and I guess it was just too much for him to host, keep maintain it.
In a place like Portland or San Francisco
Mhm.
or specifically the West Coast, where
Yeah.
we're a lot more liberal and people are a lot more liberal.
Not me. Go ahead.
Yes, we all know you're a diehard conservative. On the West Coast, it's not so much of a big problem
Mhm.
where law enforcement's going to come crash into your party.
Yeah.
You get into
Unless they want to play too.
yeah. But if you get into diehard conservative territories in the United States,
Then there's more danger.
then there's more danger of it because, hey, somebody's going to hear this party going on. They're going to call the cops. And next thing you know, you've got 20 people under arrest for assault,
Mhm.
Because they don't agree with B&D and S&M. What was it? 20 years ago, B&D and S&M was an underground thing. Before the internet came around, it was an underground movement. It was not even a movement. It was just an underground.
I mean, it still technically is to
Community.
the mass populace. The only thing that most people know about is things like 50 Shades of Grey because it became
The
such a
evil
big,
book.
yeah, because it became such a big stupid thing. A lot more people know about it. Like I could generally say there are a lot of people who knew about it, like had general knowledge of there's this weird thing that there's these really weird like outside of the norm sexual people who do things where again BDSM doesn't necessarily have to be sexual in any way. But most people aren't going to be like, oh yeah, I know all about BDSM because I know about like FetLife most people probably don't know what FetLife is. Most people that I've spoken to who like were new or exploring, I've been like, hey, have you heard of FetLife? And they've been like, no, what's that?
Oh yes.
Like even adults, people who are like 30s, 40s. I'm not even talking about people my age at that point.
Here's the thing. 500 million people in the United States. FetLife boasts a population of 4.5 million people worldwide. So that's only 4.5 million people into the B&D and S&M scene.
Well,
No,
there's
that is-
more. That's just
Actually, that is
Okay.
also the number would actually go down from there because then you have to weed out probably about 1 million people who are just on there for the sex photos, who aren't actually in the scene at all, people who are just curious but not actually there.
And then you got to take out another million for the posers.
Exactly.
Yeah,
because
well-
the number keeps going down once you get into we're talking about people who are actually living in the lifestyle, who go to dungeons, who go to classes, who do the things that make BDSM safe.
yes. Well, I didn't see you bring that up, and I was just talking to someone the other day, and I really laid into him because he messaged me on Fed, and he's like, I'm new to this and stuff, and I'm trying to find my way. I'm like, well, do your homework. There's lots of groups. Go to some lunches.
Yeah.
Do all that. And basically, it came down to when we were talking, he just wanted to get laid.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? These are real humans here with real emotions, and they're not here for just to get you off. It was like, well, maybe you can help me. I said, I'll write you later, but you know what? This is not a meat market for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
it
not.
just-
FetLife is not a meat market.
and it
And a lot of
really,
people treat it that way.
yeah, well, it upsets me. So I'll go back and I'll talk to him. I said, I'm preparing for my show. I'm working on my show. I have people come tomorrow. So I don't really have time right now to talk to you, but I will talk to you later. But this is not a place for you to come and use people for your sexual gratification.
Right. FetLife is designed for people to learn
Mhm.
and for people to express themselves. It's not
Well,
Plenty of Fish. It's Facebook.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know.
And to get to know each other and meet like-minded people, express
Exactly.
ideas and share. And
Exactly. It's not a meat market. And unfortunately, too many people use it that way. And the people that actually run FetLife want to boost their numbers so they don't get rid of they don't get rid of the dipshits that come on there just looking for.
There's no way to like report somebody not for being rude, but for only looking for sex, not actually kinkster, not actually kinkster. That would be a really nice label to like be able to put onto certain profiles. Not kinkster, not kinkster, not person.
yeah. Well, and there's plenty of people on there that are just straight out looking for sex. So it would be nice if they had the title of sexter.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's slut for that. There is
Well, I
slut.
don't think, but I don't even think slut fits it because slut is okay. Well, let's go on to the slut topic. How about we go to a break and then we'll come back and we'll get into the discussion of slut.
We'll talk about slut.
Slut.
Well, in the sense of it as a
Well,
slur.
wait,
Oh,
we're gonna go to a break and then we'll come back. Well, this will get everyone time to get up, get a snack, stretch their legs, and then carry on. And we'll be back, and we're gonna go to a couple of songs. And remember, yodeling and BDSM.
Stop!
I will only accept Viking metal.
Viking metal.
Yes, Viking metal. It is amazing.
Okay, we're gonna look for some Viking metal soon. And we'll be right.
Hey, let's how about B&D and S&M and the river dance?
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna play Lou's commercial before we go to a song because he's still doing a sticker giveaway. Remember we put a sticker on Vicky. Those awesome stickers I was wearing.
Yeah, the fuck me stickers.
Well, yeah, but he also
we
has.
have one of those taped to the bed now.
Nice. See how nice they are, and there's the own me and love me, worship me, all the obey me, all the good ones, and he's still giving them out free, no postage and everything. But I'm gonna play the commercial, and they'll know where to go, and then we're gonna play a couple songs, and we'll be back and talk about sluts and how everyone loves them.
SLUT with periods between each letter. Slut.
Slut.
that they are streaming Beaten Path Radio on their website. And to celebrate, the website is giving away free bumper stickers. That's right, bumper stickers for free. There's a variety of sayings that you can choose from. To get yours, go to onerulesupersedes.com/me for free and click on the bumper sticker that you want and use the coupon code me for free. That's ME, the number 4 and free at the checkout, and they'll send it to you absolutely free. No tax, no shipping, no gimmicks, no excuses for not getting yours today. There's a limit of one per person, and you have to be 18 years or older. And while you're there, check out their selection of t-shirts that they have on sale. And it's all right here at https://one rule supersedes. That's the number 1 rulesupersedes.com/me for free. Again, that's ME number 4 free / Get yours today.
else.
So is
Look at that.
she still not doing the show with you? Or no?
Welcome back to Slave Nation on the Beaten Path with our guests, Vicky and Scott. Oh, you can still eat. You can still anything you like. Anyway, I'm so glad to have you guys down here. What a treat. Anyway, so we're back and we're going to talk about slut. And I think slut does not fit the ones that are strictly looking for sex. And my reasoning is, okay, they may be a slut and they may like sex a lot and stuff, but they may be a slut only for their master, or they may be a slut only, for a certain partner they play with. And it's, they'll slut it up for them, but they're not a slut that's just going to open their legs or stick it in for anyone, which is why I suggested perhaps getting a different title for these people that just simply want easy sex. And then we can identify them.
Yeah. It's just slut was the easiest thing to come to mind simply, excuse me, because it just generally applies to somebody who has slept with multiple people. Like, I am a self-proclaimed slut. I have slept around quite a bit. I am not ashamed about it.
You're also a nymphomaniac, so
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm gonna scoot on over closer to Vicky and it's okay, Scott. You can join too.
later.
No, but you see what I'm saying. And so slut does not really, to me, doesn't go for those people that are just trying to use our lifestyle as a meat market, and they've mistaken it. And I will go back and talk to that guy because he may turn out to be, just misled, but a perfectly lovely person.
From what I would
there's a lot of perfectly lovely people on FetLife.
Okay, I get what you're saying. But okay, to be fair, okay, he did say after I reamed him, I was really probably quite rude, which usually I'm generally not. Well, it depends on the person. But I was having the day and it just made me angry. This is not your personal, sex play area.
Yeah.
Play park.
Well, that's the thing.
I certainly start to feel that way after I get a certain amount of messages that all say the same thing.
That's the one thing I do like.
Which is why you need to forward them on to mail call.
Well, I don't engage any of them.
There is one thing I will give FetLife for.
Mm-hmm.
Give credit to FetLife for.
Yes.
It is definitely self-monitoring.
Yes.
The women that are on FetLife that are actually in the lifestyle, they will tell these motherfuckers off.
Yes.
It's the newbies to the website, the newbie
Yeah.
girls to the website that are going to get caught up by the wannabes and the ones that are just looking for sex. And then they're going to learn, and then they won't fall for that thing twice.
Yeah, but it's sad that they have to go through that.
Well, it's just one of those things of, I think it comes with the whole joining FetLife. As soon as you have a picture on there, you suddenly are open to all of this new attention that feels so amazing and wonderful. Suddenly everybody is calling you beautiful, which nobody does in real life anymore, which is sad. Nobody casually compliments anybody. It's sad.
I call you beautiful all the time.
Yes,
Thank
but
you.
I'm dating you.
You're more than dating me, but yes.
But it's just, now I'm off topic. Thank you. Or off track. I don't remember what I'm talking about.
You get the compliments where,
Yeah.
See, I find.
Well, and I'm just saying this in the sense of, if you're a new person, you're joining this place and you're given all this attention, it is really easy to just be like, this person's giving me attention, I'm going to follow them.
Well,
like,
yes,
I've
because they
certainly
feel
fallen
like,
to that.
because they feel like, oh my gosh, they must really like me. They're telling me how beautiful I am.
Yeah. The people who, again, know exactly what to say. But attention is a very dangerous thing.
And addicting.
Yes, it is very easily to be addicted to attention.
Well, we got off the topic of sluts.
Not necessarily.
It's-
Sluts love attention.
Oh, yeah.
Sluts are attention whores.
Oh, yeah. I admit I'm an attention whore.
Well,
If not, I wouldn't
there is a good title.
Attention whore.
No.
Whore?
Whore.
But they're not being paid. You cannot use the title of somebody's Good old work. That is somebody's job. Thank you.
Okay, well, okay, and I'm not sure if you know this, but we
I will
have.
sleep with anybody. Or I am a slut. I will sleep with one person multiple times as
No.
often as possible.
No, that's just general love of sex. Slut generally follows people who have sex with multiple people, not
Yes.
necessarily the quantity. I mean, at least that's how the term ended up being coined over time of like, this person has been with over 3 partners. They are automatically a slut, or this person is assumed to have been with more than 2 partners.
I'm going to go get that up on the dictionary, and we will see what they have to say about a slut.
What is the proper definition of slut?
We will see that. I've got to open it up, and then we will go to, oh my gosh, I'm going to be news raped again. But okay, so we're going to get the proper definition, and then we will
Extrapolate on
yeah,
that.
don't look at that stuff. That's bad. It's bad.
Slut Finder. Slutfinder.com. Why don't they go there?
Define slut at dictionary.com. Okay, so we'll go that's the first one that came up, and we'll tell you what dictionary.com says. And disparaging and offensive. Well,
A sexually promiscuous woman, or a woman who behaves or dresses in an overtly sexual way, or informal, a person with a seemingly insatiable but often undiscerning desire to do or have something specified.
Specified. Okay, let me scroll down a little. We're gonna.
I feel like Urban Dictionary would have
okay,
a more
now an archaic. Yeah, but we want to know what the proper.
There's root definition, and then there's
slang.
Casually accepted definition.
Okay, well,
so
we'll do
that's
this.
what I'm saying the two are.
And it also says archaic: a prostitute, a harlot, an immoral or desolate woman, a dirty, slovenly woman. And then and then here it says, specified, guilty of being a shoe slut, a book slut, reading 5 books at once.
To have more than a generally accepted amount of something, whether it be sex or another item.
Yes.
I feel that the word slut fits men more than it does women.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
I love calling men sluts because they are.
Men are sluts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know.
But that definition only says women.
Yes,
Okay,
because that's people usually call them sluts.
I just want to touch on this first. Origin of slut and word story, and then we'll continue on. Is that
Go
okay?
right ahead.
Well, you're the guest, and I don't want to interrupt you.
Read.
I'm going to be a reading slut. Okay, I'm going to read more than one definition.
You are definitely a reading slut.
Okay, origin of slut. 1375 to 1425, late Middle English slut, compare dial, slut mud, Norwegian dial, slutra, sleet, impure liquid. Word story. Slut first appeared in the written language in 1402. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, that great repository of language information, at the time, slut meant roughly what one sense of slattern means today. A slovenly, untidy woman or girl. It also apparently meant kitchen maid. She is a cheerful slut who keeps the post scrubbed and her fires hot. By the end of the 15th century, the sense a woman given to immoral or improper conduct had come into use, but this meaning is not current today. Interestingly, slattern also developed the meaning prostitute, harlot. Some feminists have reclaimed the word slut to use it to mean a sexually liberated woman. And then we also have related words for slut. Come on, I'm being a dictionary slut. Okay.
Tramp, whore,
floozy,
floozy, hussy, vamp, hooker, tart, harlot, prostitute, Jezebel, jade, slattern, minx, wench, bimbo, malkin, queen?
Quean. Okay, and then
Well,
we go.
you certainly are a Jezebel.
Okay, contemporary examples of slut. In Boston, a bunch of Neanderthals threatened to hold a pimp walk in response to the slut walk. Oh, there you go, Scott. You can be a pimp walker.
No,
I am not a pimp.
The slut walk is a really important thing. The slut walk is specifically something that is done by prostitutes to help promote the fact that what they're doing is an actual business. It is done with consent, and they want it to be protected.
Well, it should be protected because we talked about prostitution and we went through the history of prostitutes.
I've done a whole paper on it.
Oh, I wish you would have been on. We can revisit prostitute because it's one of my favorite topics because I am in full support because it is, you know what? Okay, in the old times, women did not have a lot of choices. They were left without a man, how to care
It's
for
one of
themselves.
those things of prostitution is the world's oldest
Profession. Yes. And it's theirs to sell.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to give me your money to get my goodies, you don't have to.
It's just one of those things, and most people have a good moral standing, and why they say people shouldn't is because the danger of pimps, of Johns, of the fact that they are dangerous. But there are places like Netherlands, which they call, I think, the Icelandic the Icelandic. It's a way that they do it where it is very specifically done. The only thing that is technically illegal is the John buying. The woman selling their body is no longer an illegal thing.
You don't even have to go outside the United States for this.
Yeah, it's
All
Nevada.
all you have to do is go to Nevada.
Yes,
It's legal.
no, stop, because I am not done yet. Because also
Oh
what is
my
illegal
God.
is pimping people out. That's
Ow.
illegal.
Okay.
Pimps are
You're about to
are
go to
awful.
the corner, Missy.
I know, but I'm frustrated, and pimps are rampant in Nevada, and they're awful. They are absolutely terrible. Women
now
don't
what
get
do you
what they
think of
money.
the madams?
Madams?
Yeah, madams are the female pimp.
Generally, they're better.
Well, I
obviously.
would agree they are better.
Like generally, they're better. Obviously, there's always exceptions to everything. But in that sense, it would be a person who is a technical manager and properly managing these people who are sex workers versus telling them, go meet this guy that you know nothing about. At that point, it gets to a point of people can get information about who they're meeting. They can know XYZ information about them in case something happens. People who work in these places where prostitution is legalized in a sense, they get to get information like where the person works, where they live, who their family is, for the simple reason of now I have all the information I need. You can have sex with me. I won't do anything with this information, but if you do anything to me, I have a full defense against it.
Yes. Well, and I've always come in full support of, and I know people look really down on them, the crack whore. Now, okay, here you have a woman who has a drug addiction, a problem, right? So she goes out and she sells what she has to help supplement her problem. And she's so looked down about it. But I'm thinking, it's a lot better than her breaking into my house.
Well, yes, but at the same time, a lot of those actually end up getting started because their pimp get them addicted.
Yes.
Because then they have to make this money so that they can get this supplement, because otherwise their pimp won't give it to them, or they'll just get beaten if they don't make the right amount of money.
Yeah, well, I get that, but I mean, there's also the crack whores that are pimpless, and they go out there and they make their money for their drug problem and stuff.
Yeah.
And you got to give it to them because they're doing what they need to do, and they've got a problem. They've got a problem to begin with. And
like that's also one of those things. I love Canada because they have a different way of addressing addiction. Like there are places in Canada that are clean places where you can go do heroin. If you have an addiction, you can get clean needles. Things will be supplied to you. You will have a place to go into
well,
withdrawal.
we have needle exchanges here.
Not necessarily in the same way. I'm talking about like in the same way we have a Planned Parenthood. They have a place where you can just go into a room and you will do your drug. You aren't in a place of danger. You won't do anything dangerous. You're at a place where you can do the substance until you are ready to get off of it.
You're monitored.
Yeah, until you're able to get off. If you have an overdose, somebody will take care of you. That kind of thing.
Yeah,
It makes
but
it safe.
do they have something too? Now, okay, I'm not sure how I actually feel about that, but I would say if they have a place like that, I would hope they would also have a thing with, we know you have a problem if you're ready to get help.
No,
Yes,
there
they do.
absolutely is. There absolutely is, because it is encouraged. It actually has proven to decrease drug use. It has helped decrease drug use. Like the drug problems up in Canada, nowhere near as bad as it is here. Like it's not even slightly as close.
That's one of the problems with the United States.
We just criminalize everything.
We criminalize everything instead of treating the problem
Like
or
people.
Okay,
like
but
people, we
okay,
just
let's
say,
not
okay, that's
really
just
bash
against the
on
law,
the
we're going
US
to put you in
because
jail.
We're going
we
to
are
put you under
very
the carpet.
compassionate people. We are there to help.
We are
For
as
the
people-
majority.
We are as people compassionate. Human beings are inherently compassionate to their fellow human beings because of how we are inherently. But based on the laws that we end up doing, it is an out of sight, out of mind problem. I don't know that person. They're probably just a bad person who is addicted to drugs. So we should throw them in jail so that nobody has to deal with them because they are a stint on society, when in fact they just lost their house, their job, everything, their wife, their kids. So they fall into addiction and then they can't get out.
Well, I know, but okay, some of them are bad. Like I had a neighbor who was.
I'm not saying. I'm saying the mass majority of people who end up addicted don't want to be.
Yeah,
like most people who end up there don't want to be. They have trouble getting out. They never wanted to go there in the first place. They just ended up having a bad day that ruined everything for years.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who have come out of NA and AA and things like that.
Well, that's a whole other topic. But my whole thing was the crack whore. She's selling what she has. So
Boy, this went from slut to crack whore.
And that's what we love about Slave Nation. You never know where we're going to end up. But okay, we'll go back to the slut because we were saying the slut is, for me, I don't think it goes with the people who are just looking for easy sex. I mean, there's sluts. The sluts, they like sex. They want it. They crave it. It's a totally different thing. Okay, we went to that, so we're going to go to Urban Dictionary too. Before I got off on my tangent, do you still want me to go to Urban?
They should just all men should just label themselves sluts, and for the women that like sex a lot, they just label themselves nymphomaniacs.
Well, it's just one of those things of, as a society where we are now, we can't turn that around because guys who have a lot of sex aren't shamed. Men who have a lot of sex aren't shamed. Women who have a lot of sex, absolutely.
I think that's taking a big turn. I think that, well, maybe it's just because I don't pay much attention to the outside world and I'm kind of, in my little bubble, no news, no this, no that. But I find for the most part that women are not shamed for, you've been shamed for being a slut.
Constantly. Absolutely.
Who
even
shamed
now,
you?
Everybody I've been around, even close friends have started to shame me because I ended up sleeping with more than one person in a friend group. Mainly for the simple fact of I tried to be with this person, it didn't work out, or I just wanted to have a fling with this person. It was understood between us. I have friends, but then I have other people who are like, you've been having sex with a lot of people, haven't you?
But here lies the problem. Okay, if let's say, no, I'm not bisexual or whatever, okay, but let's say I go ahead and I say, okay, well, I'm just going to use you too. But I go and I have, and you guys aren't together, whatever. But I go and we're all friends and I have sex with you, right? And then later on, I come and have sex with you. Well, that's between me and you, and that's between me and you. And if you're flapping your jaws and you're telling this person and that person, they're the ones in the wrong because they're gossips, and that's much worse than being a slut.
Kind of, but at the same time, like I've had so many conversations with good friends about like good times that I've had and good friends who understand the situations are fine. But like if I were to ask you,
yes,
if you were to talk to people, other men, about your sexual escapades with me, what would they do? You're a guy who is older with a younger girl. What would they say to you?
Most of them would just high five me and go, "Yay, dude!"
Exactly that. Or people would look at me and say, "Are you sure you're okay? Do you need help? Are you in a bad relationship?" Which isn't technically related to the whole slut thing, but it's more of a one version versus other version. If I were to talk to other women about my relationship without any context, they would automatically assume I'm in an abusive relationship. Everybody would just be like, "Awesome, you're obviously winning the lottery right now," which is a whole different story.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't get me wrong, men are treated differently than women, and it's wrong. It's society, but it's wrong. And it comes down to what I was saying earlier about society doesn't change. Fat doesn't change overnight. This is the way it's. Society has been male dominated for thousands of years.
I kind of like
and it's probably going to be male dominated for 1,000 more. Not because we want it to be, but because society doesn't change fast enough.
Well, I like it, so it works for me.
Yes, you're a special case.
Because I'm over here like I've been in the marches. I have actually protested against things because I don't like how things are. I want to change them. I want to be able to be treated fairly.
Okay,
Yeah,
next part
that-
you go. I'm gonna come with you, but I'm gonna be walking behind. Don't listen to her. Don't listen to her.
Here- Another good example of it, where a very good example of it is racism.
Mhm.
Okay. 500 years ago, racism really didn't exist. Racism was something that started not that long ago.
Actually, the funny part about racism, it started because of slavery, and that started because the people themselves were selling other black people in like Africa, were
Mhm.
selling other black people to white people, and then white people automatically went, since I bought this human being, obviously they're lesser than me, which created the
Yep.
whole.
Which created racism. Now, racism as a whole is still prevalent in the United States and in some places around the world. Okay, it's not going to be that way. It's still recent history. Is the problem?
Yeah.
Okay, doesn't mean that 90% of the people in the United States are racist. They're not.
Can I actually?
Okay. Yes, I'm trying to just use an example.
I know you're using an example, but I also have this thing in my sociology class where psychology has actually come to the conclusion that everyone's racist because you cannot help it. Not
Because
for
you've
the
been
sake,
indoctrinated to it.
not for the sake of people's skin being different, but because people who are often in cliques or minor cultures, subcultures, end up being moderately different, and we as people cannot help but be different around different people. Like, you cannot act the same way you are now and then also be talking to a thug.
Gotcha.
It's tribal.
Well,
It's tribal
here's
stuff.
the thing. Okay, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being racist. You don't have to like anyone for any reason, and you can dislike them for any reason. Like, I don't have to like you. I don't have to like black people. I don't have to like Asian people. I don't have to like anyone. But what I do need to do is not torment them, not be cruel to them, not be condescending. But I don't have to like them, and I can dislike them for any reason I want.
Racism is a very broad word.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you could be racist strictly based on personalities. Your personality and my personality don't mesh. Therefore, I'm racist towards you.
No, race is
but
a
it's
difference
race.
and judgment in person's race, which has to do with skin color and the culture that they came from. Because technically,
That was the
we could
definition of it.
also talk about the different racism between Irish, Polish, which technically is still white, but they are different cultures and thusly different races.
Let's talk about sluts.
Yeah, let's get off this racial thing.
Let's talk
because
about
Sorry.
sluts.
I'm a college student. I can't help it.
And then-
I don't like racism. I am not a racist person.
Honestly, all I feel is people were starting to forget about it, and then we got this wonderful thing that brought it out everywhere. It is now everywhere again. It's just like,
Hey, sluts.
nobody's hiding anymore.
Okay, we're talking sluts.
Okay.
We're on Urban Dictionary. Slut. A disgrace to all women. Now more than ever, women are treated as if they were one. It's some morbid way to make themselves feel adequate or wanted or accepted, for that matter. Whatever the reason, there is no excuse. Man, hey, you're looking fine. We should hook up. Real woman. Try your luck somewhere else. I'm not a slut. Okay, that was top definition on Urban Dictionary. And then we have more. You want, oh, good grief.
Find a shorter one.
Yeah, I'm going to find it. Oh, you're not really a definition slut, are you?
I'm a concise slut. I like things to be short and concise, unless it's sex.
Here we go. 10 examples of sluts.
Well, I'm not short, but
I said unless it's sex. I specifically added that part.
Cheap whores you pick up off the streets in Las Vegas and LA. Christina Aguilera is the epitome of a bona fide slut due to her ghastly appearance, freakishly grotesque display of makeup, and the provocative outfits she's done before each show. See Skank. I kind of like her makeup and stuff.
well, there's a person who is completely and utterly conservative Christian. making up that definition.
No,
Not
this is a full
necessary.
list done by a chauvinist.
Anna Nicole Smith. Need I say more? Porn stars, strippers, gold digging. Say the word.
Witches.
Dumb blondes, manipulative. This is obviously an angry man.
Yeah, this is somebody who has
Can't
obviously
get
not
laid.
gotten their beer from the fridge.
Yeah,
It could be,
Cheating
it could be
girlfriends.
an angry woman that can't get laid too.
this is true. Women with pretentious attitude. Women with fake boobs. What's wrong with plastic surgery? This girl is such a slut. Why does she keep insisting I have sex with her?
Man, this guy really has just been all over the place in his imagination today.
Let's give him a thumbs down. There you go. You smell. Okay. We just thumbs down
Get a
him.
slut smug.
A slut mug, not a smug.
No, slut smug. Because it was S, plural. Slut.
Sluts. Oh, okay. Got you. Okay. So have we had enough, or should we read a couple more? Here we go. Slut is a derogatory term to describe a woman that is sleazy and will have sex with anyone or something, sometimes anything. It's more commonly being applied to poophead men today too. The reason sluts are sluts is complicated. Most do it for attention because they are so pathetic that they can't get noticed in any other way. And young sluts in school become sluts because they think it will make them more popular or cool. Although it usually just makes guys and girls think of them as thoughts and hoes. What's a thought? Have you heard of a thought?
Thought?
THOTS?
No, I know. I've heard the term, but I really just find it to be interchangeable with slut. It's just the new version of slut.
Oh,
There's a thought.
okay.
Man,
Oh.
you're such a thought.
Other reasons get more complicated, like daddy separation issues and BS, and some usually very ugly feminists think being a slut is somehow liberating or will prove to everyone that they are equal to men, although they fail to comprehend that men sluts are buttholes too. Being a slut is seldom just about sex, but is more a desperate plea for attention. A slut can be a man, but is usually a very pathetic girl that is absolutely desperate to be noticed and get attention. Wow. Ocean Cats is angry. Let's give that person a thumbs down too.
Oh my goodness.
So
This seems like just everybody wanted to throw in their 2 cents, mostly about like very specific people. Because these are all formatted in a very pointed way
yeah.
of like, I'm talking about somebody who screwed me over.
Okay, well, you and I after the show, let's get on there and do our version of slut.
Someone who has sex a lot.
You have to be very special to be a slut. Not everyone can pull it off.
Someone who is comfortable with the amount of sex that they're having.
And who they are. I mean, I admit, sometimes I can dress kind of tardy.
I love dressing the way I do.
Yeah, me too. Well, today I'm kind of nutty. But it's chilly.
I just have only clothes that are either form-fitting or moderately revealing, simply because, mostly because I grew up a kind of big girl.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was never comfortable with myself, and now I'm at a point where like I like how I look. I feel so much more happy with how I look in comparative to like middle school.
You look great.
It took a lot of work.
Well,
I'm still working.
I have the conservative clothes because I do go to church sometime, and I'm in a small town, and I have friends that are family, families,
Yeah.
and you don't show up to someone's home, in a family environment like that. I'm going to give you a good story. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I was at my aunt's house, and she was having this party, and this was when those hip hugging jeans were real pop, but the ones that went really low. And her nephew showed up with his girlfriend and his girlfriend's friend, and she was wearing like a top up right below her bust, and then she had the hip jeans on, and they were really, really tight. And if she bent in any direction, there was some crack that was coming out. I mean, they were that low. It was really awful. Now, my aunt is just like the most delightful woman you'll ever meet in your life. I mean, she's just so warm and so funny, and she'd be like, you come to her house and she go, oh, hi, honey, come on in. Oh, it's so good to meet you. And she'd just go on and fawn all over you. And she'd talk to you. And she's just happy, perfectly, bubbly, sweet. I have never seen her mad my whole entire life, ever. She lost it. She lost it. She said, how dare that girl come in my house at a family event dressed like that? She was just livid. Well, my grandmother, right, she was kind of deaf, and she would always have these sayings, and she would just, because she was deaf on the deaf side, so instead of saying, look what that girl's wearing, she'd be like, do you see what that girl is wearing? Very loud. And one of her sayings was, barely covers the law. So we got my grandmother in a wheelchair. I'm like, let's see if she does it. Let's see if she does it. Maybe this girl will get the hint to put a shirt on or a sweater or something. And not a peep out of my grandma. Anyway, so we talked about it later. And my cousin told my aunt, next time, just, grab a sweatshirt or a shirt out of the closet and just tell this girl, in our home, we don't dress like that. But
like that, I can understand that. Like wearing some crop, I'll just say crop kind of clothing that's meant to be like as revealing as possible without it being illegal is mostly meant for sunny days outside where you're walking around a lot.
But not
or you're going to a club, not going to a family event.
Yeah, so
like for that, if you want to still have something, just wear a lower cut shirt and then have it actually cover you, and like wear a skirt that's nice and
knee length or whatever, and
appropriate.
You can look sexy slutty without.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at what I'm doing.
Yep,
I have a long sleeve shirt on and jeans, but I look fine as heck.
She's got a lot of cleavage showing for those who are looking on YouTube. And we just lost Scott.
Yeah, I lose him a lot in there.
Yeah, nice.
She does that.
Okay, so we still have no clear definition of slut.
Stop doing that. Stop.
Hey, showtime. No,
no, but stop putting cats on their backs.
Do you obviously think slut is not a bad thing? Where do you draw the line? Where does it become slut to just over the top? The person has no respect for themselves.
Honestly, I don't have anything like that because I don't feel like I'm the person to judge what another person is doing. Well, I believe if somebody is doing something and they're happy in doing it, I don't have a reason to give judgment onto them.
Okay, well, I'm going to go over here to someone who will judge.
I don't judge. Don't ever say I judge.
No judging?
I don't judge people.
Huh.
Especially for what they're doing with their bodies.
Yeah, I don't judge people.
And you don't judge them like where it comes to a point of concern. I mean, because, I would look at it where I would start judging because it would come to a point of concern if they were just going out and being reckless.
Okay. I was on the train to work the other day.
Okay.
And there was a guy that got on the train and, he was obviously a paranoid schizophrenic. He was yelling and screaming at the invisible person. Yes, I judged that as in he needs help. And when he got off the train at the same stop I was getting off at, I informed, the patrol, the authorities that were patrolling that area. And I said, hey, he needs help. Do you consider that being judgmental?
More of a concerned citizen.
Well, it's a little. It is a little bit because you're judging them. You're looking at them. You're saying this person's sick, and it is a judgment, but it is concern too.
But I don't.
It's not condescending judgment.
I feel like a judgment comes from a jump of one assumption to a conclusion. Where if it's something like somebody is showing an obvious sign of a mental disorder, such as paranoia, like paranoia like that becomes this person is having issues in some way that I have no personal understanding of, but I know that it is potentially harmful to either the general public or themselves. I
don't judge people based on appearance. After you open your mouth, then I'll get judgmental.
Yeah.
But I don't judge people on their appearance. If you want to dress like a slut, go right ahead.
Yeah, what man doesn't love that?
If you want to dress like a nun, go right ahead. I'm not going to judge you on that. I'm going to, once you open your mouth and start spewing something, then I'm going to be judgmental. Because either you and I fit together on a intellectual basis, or we don't. I will judge you on your intellect. I'm a sapiosexual. If you're not smart enough to be part of the gene pool, then I don't really want to get to know you.
Yeah.
That's just.
But even in that sense, that's more just a judgment of whether or not you want them within your circles or within conversation, not necessarily of their life in general. Because once they go on with their life and it's no longer interfering with.
I have been in hundreds of B&D and S&M scenes. I've been in dungeons where there's all kinds of shit going on, including shit in some cases.
Oh, yes.
I don't judge that. That is your personal, whatever you're doing is your personal like or dislike. I'm not going to judge you because I don't want you judging me.
That's a Christian value.
Huh?
Judge not your neighbor.
Judge not, lest you be judged. Well, I get that, but okay, let's face it. Well, okay, maybe you guys don't judge, but I'll admit it, I'll judge. But in the end, I don't really care what you're doing. It's your business.
Yeah, it is. What happens behind my closed doors is my business. What happens behind your closed doors is your business.
Mm-hmm.
If we happen to be behind the same closed doors at the same time, then it becomes all of our business, and don't judge people about it. B&D and S&M is supposed to be a non-judgmental community.
Okay, but it is very
judgmental.
judgmental. It is so judgmental.
It's not supposed to be, but it is. Because
it's more whisper judgmental, I think.
Which is sad because
well, you get people in charge of the community that really shouldn't be, and I'm not going to talk about any specific groups.
We know.
PLA. No, you get certain things going on within certain groups. There's certain, within the Portland community, there are groups that say that, hey, we're in charge of this community. No, you're not. You're in charge of your own little portion of that community.
Yeah.
But they pass judgment on everybody because they think they're in charge.
Just a second. Sweet Green Eyes has a question, and she's asking who's speaking. This is Scott, and I met him at a kink camp out, and we became friends. Him and his submissive Vicky.
Yes. Hi.
Yeah, and it was the highlight of the camp out, and
yeah, it was, because the Kiki camp out in general was a failure. But we made some good friends, and that was all that mattered.
That really made it worthwhile. So
good campfire conversations always make a camp out, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was. I did have in the end, I had a good time.
But who am I? I am a Dom with 25 years experience in the community, in the B&D and S&M world. Vicky and I are in a DNS relationship, been there for 10 months now. I subscribe to the fact that DS and kink are two different things. What else?
Well, DS and kink are two different things. And I think that's part of the problem with, when you tell people, I'm into the BDSM, or I am into BDSM and stuff, they automatically can assume that you're just into the kink, and they don't understand that the kink is like an extra bonus. Yeah. And it's the actual dynamics of the relationship.
Yeah, DS is a relationship dynamic. Kink is sex.
Yes.
Not necessarily.
Well, not necessarily sex, but
kink is a personal enjoyment of an otherwise not normal sensation or activity.
Correct.
Right.
If everybody's been listening to the show that we've been on, kitten over here is my personal dictionary since I am
I'm
not
really-
a big word person.
I'm really good at forming good sentences, and I'm ruining my genes. I have to write way too many papers to not think about my words enough. See, exactly like me.
Huh?
Oh, she's distracted with these cats.
I just have 2 kittens in my lap, and I can't help it.
2 8-week-old kittens, which we are taking home tonight.
They are my new babies.
Okay, so now I'm gonna ask some tough question. You're now in your DS relationship.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
and you clearly like kink too.
Yes.
If you had to give one up, if you had to either be the dominant and just have the dynamics going, or you could have an equal, I guess you would say, vanilla relationship, regular, and kink, which would you choose?
I'd give up the kink.
Okay, so I would too, because I think it's the dynamics that really makes it.
The dynamic is what makes the relationship. The kink is secondary to it.
Mhm.
I think kink is the lovely sprinkles on top.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I could give up being a sadist.
Mhm.
I could give it up in a heartbeat. As it stands, I only consider myself to be a moderate sadist anyway. I'm not going to be, if I'm using toys or implements on somebody, I like bruises, but I won't break skin. I won't make you bleed
On purpose.
on purpose. So I consider myself a moderate sadist. Yes, I like to hear you scream, and yes, I like to, I like to hear the "fuck you, master" once in a while.
Oh.
In playful. That fucking
Not
hurt.
disrespectful.
That not disrespectful. It's just, hey, that fucking hurt, master.
God, you effing blah blah blah.
But that I could give that up in a heartbeat for the DS, because the DS is a loving, communicative relationship. We talk about everything. We discuss our emotions. We discuss our feelings. We discuss our
Worries.
worries and our happiness with each other. Which you don't see in vanilla most of the time.
Well,
Commonplace in vanilla.
Complete. Well, that's what I find the beauty of an MSDS relationship is that communication and when you go into the relationship, you get to know the person and you're discussing, your wants, your needs, your desires, but you both go in knowing that your relationship is top priority and needs that work and needs the communication, and it's the commitment that's made to the dynamics of the relationship, to the other person.
DS takes a whole lot more work than a vanilla relationship does.
Oh yeah.
And you mentioned, dom sub and master slave.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't say top bottom.
Yeah, because that's play.
Top and bottoms I consider to be on the kink side of things instead of the relationship side of things.
Scene exclusive titles.
Yes, those are scene exclusive titles. So I wanted to put that out there. But
because even I could technically top a scene.
You could.
I may not do great at it, but I could still technically do it.
Yeah.
Where I would absolutely 100% fail if I tried to be a mistress.
Okay, would you ever want to top a scene?
I mean,
let's go to a break, and then we'll be back because my dogs are about to go, and we're gonna have a couple songs. Okay, we'll be back in a minute.
I mean, if I had an opportunity to tie up a girl, I absolutely would.
We'll talk about that one. before we went to commercial, talking to Vicky, who just cannot concentrate with all the little kitty. You're going to have plenty of kitty time when you get home.
Yes, but it will never be enough.
Okay. Would you top someone, and how would you like to top? Who would you like to top? And before we start, I got to tell everyone, Putin has a calendar out. That's my celebrity crush because he's so hot.
Putin?
Putin, Vladimir Putin.
Oh, really?
Don't judge me. He's hot.
I'm not going to judge you for that.
I just love him.
All I want to show you is the lovely YouTube video that is I am gay, gay, gay. I love pink cocks. I am super, super gay.
No, thank you. Okay, now back to your
It has
topping.
been banned in Russia.
It should be. Okay, back to your topping.
Would I top someone?
Uh-huh.
Yes, for the simple reason of I consider myself a switch, but only with females.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I absolutely wouldn't mind tying up a girl or doing whatever as long as I knew what I was doing. Which, off the top of my head, I'm not casually a top. It's hard for me to think off the top of my head, but I've certainly done things here or there. Like when I first started out in kink, the only person I had to do anything with was a female friend of mine who I've been friends with for years and years and years since we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
And she somehow was more shy than me. Plus, I was the only one in between the two of us that had any sort of sexual experience. So I was on top of everything. I had at that point a crop and a small flogger and a silly little rubber whip or the
koosh balls.
No. It was a flogger that was made out of what would be on the really thin cylindrical plastic that's stretchy. I don't know. I don't remember what to call it, but just really thick.
I know what
basic simple things that you find on Amazon.
Okay.
And I use those. I've tied people up. I've even tied a guy up somehow. Didn't enjoy it, but I did it. So would I? Yeah.
Okay.
Would I be good at it?
She's used a strap on somebody before, on a girl.
Multiple people.
Okay.
Okay. Now, have you taken bondage courses and tying and?
Courses? No.
Okay. Well, they always have those rope classes and stuff.
Well, yeah, but we haven't gone to any rope classes, and I only recently started going to actual classes. Most of what I had before that was reading up, understanding where dangers were. Because, like I said, I do know that you can easily lose a limb or anything if you do something wrong. Gasp! I know that. So I learned ties basically basic. We would tie each other up in different times, different ways, just sort of practicing. Sometimes we would do the same tie on each other just to see if we got it. But usually there would only be really basic, simple things that didn't have any real danger to them. Because
smart people don't mess around.
We didn't have experience. We didn't have somebody who was watching over and watching and making sure we weren't hurting somebody. Otherwise, the only experience I had was bottoming in rope. Which
she's done quite well with. And we don't do a whole lot of rope bondage ourselves right now because
don't have a lot of good rope to do it with.
Well, it's not that I don't have good rope. I don't have the variety that a lot of rope tops would have.
Yeah, they have purple rope.
Okay.
So we do basic stuff at home when we can, and then because of my job, we just don't have a whole lot of time to get out into the community. So
yeah. Well, and I understand that. Okay, and I'm sure you'll agree. I mean, because the newbies, they think it's all 24/7 tied up. I'm like, what? It's all very pretty much mundane.
You still have to be a normal person in society. You still have to do that normal everyday grind.
Yeah, because they don't get well, how can you do 24/7 then? Blah blah blah. Because the master always has that control. He always has his rules. You always have something you have to abide by.
Yep.
And you
that's
just follow it.
That 24/7 DS is a relationship. It's not kink.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to stop making that jump into jumping whatever. But Yeah, DS 24/7 DS is totally different. I have my rules. She lives by them.
Like, there's also just the simple factor of like a lot of people who are new assume that it's going to be all perfect scenes all the time. Everything's going to be super hot and sexy, and it's going to be that from the start to finish. Versus a lot of things get messy and wet. It's not the most glamorous thing in the world. Things can mess up, like we said at the start. He accidentally bashed my head on an arm, and then it didn't go well. Things don't go as planned. You have to adjust, and so we, checked to make sure I wasn't concussed and readjusted. Put a pillow where it needed to be. It's trial and error over and over. It's not just, hey, I'm just going to assume that this person knows what they're doing and go along with everything. And obviously everything is going to go perfect because this is such a hot, sexy thing that everybody has to know about.
Oh, yeah. So that's one of my pet peeves.
Who knew that the armrests of a couch weren't soft?
Oh, it's not the first time I've hit my head on one of those armrests. They're awful. Just a block of wood in the center.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny, simple things like that. So, again, it was an accident, but you can see where dominant has so much responsibility because they do have to.
Yeah, well, as soon as she bonked her head on the armrest, due to my aggression, the whole thing came to a stop. I made sure she was fine. We cuddled for a little while. We put a pillow over there, and then we started again.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's trial and error. It's not just pretty glamour all the time. It's not all the Tumblr pictures of like these pretty little things. You're in lingerie all the time, and there's a collar, and he's in a suit sitting on a chair all sexy.
What?
That's not what it is.
This doesn't happen?
That's not like the books. Oh my god.
Those are set up scenes. I mean,
those are photo shoots.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah, if you're taking the photos that you see on Tumblr or the internet,
a lot of people do,
as this is the way it is 24/7 with this person, you're deluding yourself. Those are set up photos.
There are a lot of people who do make that misconception, though. Like, there are a lot of people who come from Tumblr just seeing, like, all these tags of, like, these cool things. And what's also funny about that is they make things look so glamorized. And then if somebody who isn't actually into something comes in, it's just like, ooh, that beating looks really fun, or that caning looks like it could be really awesome because that person's obviously having a good time. And then they try it, and then they're like, holy crap, this hurts.
Yeah, it does, and they don't realize there's going to be tears and runny mascara.
Like they don't enjoy it because they weren't expecting. Oh, this actually hurts. This is actually getting hit with a stick repeatedly. It hurts.
Yeah, I've seen so many newbies to the lifestyle fall into that very same category of, ooh, this looks cool, and then they actually experience it, and then you never see them again. I'm gonna go back to my vanilla, my vanilla sex now.
I was very careful when I first started to not be like, oh yeah, I really love flogging and getting hit with paddles. I was just like, these things seem interesting to me. Like I even told you this. I'm not going to say I enjoy anything other than I've had some fun floggings before. I've gotten hit with a belt, etc. at the start. And then we experimented. I'm like, yeah, I do like these things more and more. And then I have goals of wanting to like things more just for my own goals.
Well, also, too, each person, and it's different with each person because where you may have had, let's say, a caning from one master, the other master is not going to have the same striking. The other one might just really just crack it, and the other one might be, a lighter tap.
Or a methodic repeated on same area. Different people have different ways that they will
everybody has different techniques.
Yeah, so you don't know. You may love it with one master and absolutely hate it with the other.
Oh, yeah. Or even just certain types of toys. Like, there's such a vast difference between a rope flogger versus a leather one.
Big time.
Or a leather paddle versus a wooden one. Or a
bamboo
stick versus...
my leather paddle. You hate my leather ones.
There's too neat, but I do like the impact of like harder things. Like he's hit me with books, and it's fantastic.
Oh, nice. Okay. Go.
pulled out the 50 Shades of Grey and smacked her in the ass.
Actually, it was the Feminist Essential Reading Guide.
Oh, that was even better.
That was so funny.
Oh my
I'm just like, you were hitting me with the exact right book.
I love it. I love it. So beatings with the books. Got to start your kink on book beating.
I think it is.
Well, that could just be a whole role play of a sexy librarian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everybody has different techniques, different desires, different likes, different dislikes, and if you're just getting into the lifestyle as a female submissive, you're gonna go through 2 or 3, 4 or 5 masters before you find the one that fits with you. And my advice to them is as soon as you get with a master, as soon as something feels off or that you don't like, leave. Hey, have that discussion. You're not for me.
Okay, but don't you think you should have a discussion before the discussion? You're not for me. Like,
Well,
yeah,
give
I feel like-
that master a chance to change techniques. But
I
here's
feel
the
like
thing.
if you get to a point where you're like, yeah, this isn't for me, you will have either already had a conversation or had failings of a conversation,
Yeah.
or even just a simple thing of, I know this isn't going to match up to what I now know I want. Like for new people, they will go and then they'll be like, no, I think I might be more like this. Like when I started, I didn't identify as a kitten. Lo and behold, I will happily crawl around on the floor.
You're definitely a kitten. Jesus Christ.
Okay, well, there's something to be said for crawling.
Get down on your knees, Deb.
Well, the floor is kind of hard right now. And we're doing a show. So,
Feeding time.
oh, yes. They like that. Why don't we go to a break? And then we'll come back. And we will have more hot topics.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, that's a store.
It is a store, and they have some pretty cute stuff.
Actually, they have a lot of stolen things. They steal artwork from actual artists who work really, really hard, like me.
Oh, geez, we're going to get her going again.
Oh, if you want to get me going,
There you go. Almost there. Welcome back to Slave Nation on the Beaten Path. And Vicki and Scott have not abandoned me yet.
We'll be with you
It
till the
will
end.
happen soon.
Anyway, while we were on our break, we were talking about when they're going to come down again. And they're looking in the beginning of November. It's no definite date, but it will be in November, even if I have to hunt them down, grab them by their hair, and pull them on over.
First or second weekend of November.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And what we have planned is we're going to be doing some do-it-yourself projects. And we're going to be giving some demonstrations. So that week you may want to, we'll be explaining verbally what we're doing if you're tuned in on the air. But that week you may want to tune into the YouTube channel. Now, at the end of the show, what we're going to do is we're going to take our do-it-yourself projects. So you can, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bonus. You can not only send in to Slave Nation Radio right now and register to win your matching butt plugs, enter that contest. But until they come in November, you can also do an extra registration, but put do it yourself. And we're going to do a drawing and give away our do it yourself projects. So you can win those babies too. And it'll be lots of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's,
A whole lot of fun to help make all of your kinkier lives easier.
oh, yes. But then, the people who don't win will know how to do a
Yeah.
small do-it-yourself project. Because do-it-yourself, you know what I love about do-it-yourself is it's so personal. It's like, when someone makes you a birthday card or something, it means so much more because it's made from the heart.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Versus picked off of any place, any Hallmark.
Made from China. Yeah. So that's what we have coming up, and I always have fun. And we have you should see it here. We have a whole messy table loaded with food and drinks and good conversation and lots of fun. And they just can't concentrate right now because they're kitty excited.
Yeah, we're getting ready to take home 2 kittens.
Yes.
I'm having my 2 babies. I'm bringing them home. Gotta give them nice baths.
Give them
Become
some
a proper cat
perfume.
mom.
Yep. And
I'll be getting on the floor with them.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go home, sit in my chair, and play my game for a little while.
it sounds good. And so it's been a long, long day. I woke up, I overslept and I was just exhausted. And I was still running around. They arrived. I didn't even have my makeup on. And they got to see that treasure going on. So we're going to probably just wrap it up. Do you guys have any final words of advice, something you'd like to say, a message, something that's been on your mind that you really want to tell people, something that you think is very important that everyone should know?
Do kink how you want to. Do DS how you want to, as long as everybody is safe and happy. What you're doing is okay.
Safe,
There's no wrong way.
safe, sane, and consensual.
Okay. Oh, let's touch on to we have about 12 minutes. So let's touch on that consensual, non-consensual.
Wasn't that what we were going to talk about anyway?
At one point of time, I mean, we always have topics and stuff, but we kind of do our own thing here.
Yeah.
So you want to touch on that for the last few minutes?
Ask away.
What are your thoughts on it? What is consensual, non-consensual to you?
The thrill of not being able to get away, but knowledge that nothing bad is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
Hate saying the word, but it's basically rape play. It's what it is, and it's consensual rape, is what it is.
So you think it's just rape play? It can't be like like a hard limit that you're going to cross over?
In technicality, what non-consent is, if you don't have the technical consent to do something,
Mhm.
you are rape or doing
Yeah.
an assault on somebody because it is not what they have asked for or are okay with. In the sense of sexual consent non-consent, it's hard to do
I'm consenting to you for you to do anything you want to me. Period.
Until I have decided that this has gone too far and I, called the safe word or something is going wrong and I just need a general flip
Yeah.
of, because there's a danger in it of having been in situations where it's absolutely terrifying and there's nothing you can do.
Mhm.
It's hard because that kind of fear and panic can kind of spur from anywhere, even if you don't know where it comes from.
It's
And
the
then
landmines we were talking
yeah,
about.
it's as soon as you get that fear, it can become moderately dangerous because as soon as you're panicking, you're not in that same space. You need to make sure that the person you're with knows that you're in a panic mode. But if you do it in a way that you don't get that actual panic, like fear of, oh my God, something terrible is going to happen, in the sense of you're doing a consent, non-consent of this person is doing everything they can to get on me, get in me, and have their way.
Whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
It's it's consent to cause fear.
Yeah. It's a thrill of panic.
Yeah.
But not a bad panic.
And this should not be done, okay, in my opinion, should not be done with a casual partner.
No, absolutely not.
It should be, I would say it should be with the person you've committed to.
Or somebody you're at least familiar with, like continuous play partner that knows you, understands you, knows your general signs.
Which would be a commitment in a sort.
But there are women out there that want that anonymous non-consent too.
Yeah.
I've met a couple of them. When I first moved up here to Portland, I started talking to this one person. It wasn't through FetLife. I don't remember where or how I met them. But we went out. We talked. We went and sat in the grass at the park and we talked. And she was telling me about how her psychologist, which was really funny, had told her to do something. He had told her to drive to this location, what's that tape? Duct tape over her eyes, and then to duct tape her hands to her steering wheel. And he showed up and did all kinds of things to her. And then apparently at some point he's told her to leave her back door unlocked, and he comes in and does what he wants to her at night.
That psychologist should get fired.
Yeah, I know. That's besides the point. But that was something that she got off on. She got the thrill from. That would be consent, non-consent. And by the end of the date that I had with her, nothing happened, and we never saw each other again because I'm not generally into non-consent to begin with. Everything I do has to have consent. Even if we're having sex and she calls a stop to something because, her stomach's going bad or she's not feeling up to it or whatever, that stops. We never do non-consent.
Like the closest we get is playful resistance of I'm going to do everything I can while grinning as big as I want to while he is throwing me across the bed trying to get me to lie down.
Yeah, but that's all consensual stuff.
Yeah, that's casual.
That's
fun resistance.
That's rough. That's just roughhousing, playful sexual roughhousing. Non-consent gets into areas of rape play, and some girls want to get punched. They want to walk away with black and blue eyes and bloody noses and every hole used, and it all has to be, I consent for you to do whatever the fuck you want to me. I'm going to resist you in every way possible. You're going to treat me like a rape victim. And that's so. Yeah, I don't get into consent, non-consent very often.
Yeah, and see, that is something you'd have to really, really know the person well for, because they could flip flip it, and then you wind up in jail.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
As
that's
a
why.
man,
Like
I'd
that's
be
one of those
terrified
things,
of that.
In my understanding, that kind of thing should definitely be discussed and talked about beforehand.
Mhm.
Like you should talk about all the things you're going to do. Like I'm going to follow you down this path, and I'm
Mhm.
going to shove you into the bushes. There's probably going to be blackberries,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to like tie you up. It's not going to be a sense of, and you're going to resist me, but like plan out the general action so the person is aware of what things could potentially happen. Maybe not in any specified order because that's the fun of it. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's surprise.
But there's no stopping it. There
Yeah.
is, here's
Yeah.
what's going to happen, and you're going to have fun trying to make it not happen.
And unfortunately, most of the non-consent that I've witnessed or heard about is generally anonymous. I don't want to know you, you don't, and I don't want you to know me, and we're going to do this, and we're going to go our separate ways. You don't know who I am, you don't know how to get in contact with me other than through this website, which is anonymous to begin with, and once it's done and over with, we're done, and we'll never see or hear from each other again. I don't prescribe to that. It's just
It seems
That
very
seems-
edgy and
That
very
seems
dangerous.
that's the point. It's edgy. It's the adrenaline rush. That's that adrenaline rush. That's that risk taking.
No, yeah. What's worrying about that isn't just the sense of it can be very psychologically damaging, and people don't realize that. Because I mean, from my understanding, a lot of people who end up being interested in this kind of thing have obviously never, or I shouldn't say obviously, potentially have never actually been in a sexual assault situation where it is an actual danger factor.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's no change of that of here's this thing that seems really fun and interesting in this like sexual fantasy kind of way versus here's this absolutely terrifying scarring thing that can happen to you, which is I feel where that line blurs with the kind of with the idea of anonymous things. Like that sounds like something where you're just sort of asking to be fucked up in the head.
Oh yeah. Well, not only that. I mean, a scene like that would really need some serious aftercare.
Oh yeah.
Serious. And if they're just
Y'all better
going,
be buying milkshakes after.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't get into it. The one girl that I was talking about that I met, I could tell she was fucked up in the head. You know, she had scars running from here to here, from her wrist all the way almost up to her shoulder.
That sounds like somebody who is just looking for external ways to self-harm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Especially if they're getting in it with their psychologist, which again, they should be fired and lose their license of practice. That is absolutely and utterly a breach of contract.
Well, I wonder if she was making that whole thing up because that does sound so.
It absolutely does because that would be an absolute breach of contract. You're not supposed to have contact with your therapist outside of therapy sessions. If they see you in the grocery store, you have to wave and say goodbye.
Is that your other one?
No, that's the other one.
Yeah. So Green Eyes was asking if it's a gray area for you. It sounds like it's pretty straightforward and not really your thing.
Yeah, it's not even a gray area. Consent, non-consent is not my thing at all. I won't do it. Everything has to be consented ahead of time. Sometimes in great detail. Then again, consent to play. You know, my biggest thing when it comes to consent is, hey, are we going to have intercourse during the course of this scene?
Mm-hmm.
You know, yes or no. That's my biggest consent. When it comes to kink of, you know, floggers, whips, paddles, canes, all of that stuff, I tend to be a taster.
Mm-hmm.
So I will get you with the flogger for 5, 10, 15 minutes. I'll get you with the paddle for, 100 whacks, and I'll do the cane with you for 50 or 60 strikes. That all happens within one scene with me. I like to be adaptable and change things up. It's kind of like in sex, Are you going to be a missionary, or are you going to try multiple positions during the same sexual scene, sexual interaction? So I tend to use multiple things during scenes, and I don't always negotiate what implements or toys I'm going to use during that scene. I get a general consent. Hey, can I use anything out of my toy bag on you? You know, if you don't come back and say, hey, I just don't like canes, then you're going to get caned. I don't know. I should ask, can I use paddles, floggers, whips, canes, so on and so forth? I don't always do it, and that's shame on me. But in general, I only play with people I know anyway. So I already know their tastes. I already know what they want and what they're going to do, what they're going to be able to take, what they're going to be able to take.
Well, like by this point, he's used every single one of his toys on me and knows which ones I enjoy and which ones I don't, which ones I can take for 5 minutes versus 30 minutes.
Yeah, she's not a stinger. So
I'm
she's a thud person. She doesn't like stingy toys.
He has a lot of stingy toys.
Oh, see, I like Steve.
I have a lot of stingy toys. So I don't get to use my entire repertoire of toys on her. And as a sadist, that's disappointing. But
Just means you need different toys.
as a master, that's understandable. As a responsible adult, you know, safe, sane, and consensual. You know, I play safe. I play in a sane manner. You know, and everything gets consented. What now? That one's being
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, it is closing time.
And now Kitten needs to pick out her kittens.
Yes, so we're going to wrap it up, and you'll be back sometime in the beginning of November and once we cut it down, we're going to start doing a lot of advertising, because you will want to tune into our YouTube channel to see everything that's going on, because it's going to be more of a visual
Show and tell.
Show and tell.
But
DIY.
But we
DIY.
will explain as we are doing these things verbally, and use lots of words for anyone who does not want to watch.
That'll work.
Okay, and for now, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. It's always great to have you all here. Don't forget, go to slavenationradio@gmail.com, register to win the matching butt plugs, and register to win your do-it-yourself projects. And we'll be back, or I'll be back next week. Thanks again.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Yes, thank you for coming. Bye.
Oh, you guys are making this so hard.